Peace, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Poems and Passion, where we smashing in poetic fashion. We got an awesome guest today. You guys are gonna be amazed, man. We are gonna have a good time. We're gonna get to know a beautiful artist, and we'll get to know some artwork and some poetry, just like we do every week, man. So, first I want to just start off with a little poem to break the ice. Of course, my name is Jason. If you don't know me by now, I guess you'll never know me. Never won a Grammy, won't win a Tony. Okay, that's a little KRS, but how about a little Jason? Now, I selected this poem. Um, I don't know, man. I wrote this poem and just kind of I didn't forget about it because it always struck a chord with me. So I guess I wrote this one for me and not for the audience. But it's called Understand. Let's see if you can understand this one. I'm one step closer to death, life, freedom, liberty, in this pursuit of happiness. High speed chase, police in pursuit of nappiness. Two tasers in my back, beat me bloody in front of my two sons, like it was good times. But what's really happening? I'm one step closer to death. Microphone like a tech. Heart a bulletproof vest. No silencer. My silence is a science. Connecticut against violence. Martyrs don't rest. We just give, live, and die. Malcolm Luther King. Gandhi Guevara. Noble Drew Hampton. Jesus Christ the Thug. Understand why Huey overdosed on drugs. Pop pastors and politicians pay for sex while you sit back and drudge. Mental your perfection, like reasons for resurrection. How many times I died? How many times my loved ones cried? My funeral is their reoccurring nightmare. Conscious is my conscious. Quallow my crazy sun. Influence my infinity. I live in midnight, as black as you believe. Black out my pain. El Hajj Malik by Brother Bane. Got my college from D Knowledge. Halisi Moyo like a rose con pollo. Warriors, my dojo. True story. There's no me without D. We become the baobab tree, from Aaron to Angela, Zulu to Zulinet, Vizak to Vinny, Sports Academy to RBG. You really just can't understand my BMB. Riz to Cousin Twiz, understand my Mad Dog. I don't blame fame. Before Crazy Eddie, I was smoking no name, couldn't feel no pain. Late night on the Ave, when I was holding back black brains in my hands, but you guys can't understand my true story. Wow. So it's just, oh, thank you. Thank you. I had to read that one off poem, but listen, we got the amazing D. Collin. I was on her website. You can find her at is it dcollin.com?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can check out her website, check out some of the awesome things she's doing with arts and education and as a painter. And I could just go on and on. But most of all, what I've always been impressed by her is her beautiful energy as a human being. And with that, I'd like you all to say hello to the amazing D. Collin.
Thank you. Hi, everybody out in virtual world. Hey, Jason.
Peace. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute,
but I can say a long time no see for almost anybody these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's been a while.
Yeah. The quarantine as well, but I'm well, and you look well, and I'm glad you've been continuing your journey without stopping. So you're in where are you at exactly? In Troy, New York, or Albany? Where are you at?
I'm in Troy, New York. It's about 15 minutes outside of Albany.
Okay.
Yeah. And for people who can't place Albany, Albany's like 2.5 hours from New York City.
Right, right. And that would be north, correct?
North, yep.
Yeah. Now, but you actually have Connecticut roots. Is that true?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Um, and I went to college in Connecticut in New Haven at Southern Connecticut
Mm.
State. And I actually came up to Albany for grad school. Um, and then I just stayed after grad school. So, but yeah, my
Dope,
roots
dope,
are in Bridgeport.
dope. So I'm kind of interested in that, you know. And we're gonna get into that a little more, just about your transition and how it was, and reestablishing your roots as an artist and everything like that. But first, I just like, for those that don't know who D. Colin is, tell them who you are and what you do.
I am a multidisciplinary artist. I'm a poet. I paint. I make things. I act. Um, I think that sums that up, at least on the creative end of it. And then I also teach workshops. So I teach creative writing, poetry workshops. I go into schools, conferences, and facilitate workshops there. But yeah, that kind of sums up all of it. I also have 2 books. So I'm not going to say it sums up all of it because I keep thinking of more things. But I have 2 books. Um, and I have an exhibit coming up there. So I'm always working on something.
Wow, wow. And you didn't mention the fashion end, because them glasses girl is fly.
Thank you.
So you must dabble in a little bit of fashion too, you know?
Well, I do make earrings, even though I didn't make the ones I'm wearing right now, but I do make earrings. I think that's the extent of my dip in the fashion world. And then my fro is fly. I just like to look nice.
No doubt. As we all should. As we all should want to look good, feel good, and be good, you know?
Mhm.
I truly believe that it's like a holistic thing, you know what I mean? I got a friend that used to tell me, he said, man, if your haircut ain't cut, if your hair ain't cut, you must be depressed. And at first I was like, what kind of sense does that make? But I understand, even if it's not specific, it's what he was getting at. He just was saying that you want to take care of yourself on a holistic level, spirit, mind, body, soul. So,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, I could agree with that. And you know, so without further ado, I'd like to ask you to maybe, recite a poem, spit a poem, so some of the people that haven't heard you get a chance to hear you.
Okay. I wrote this poem last year. I had to slow down there because we are in a new year. So I wrote this
Right.
poem last year. It was based on a challenge that Qualo had started called I Think They Scared of Us. So this is the poem that I wrote based off of that. I think they're scared of us. Yeah. I think they're scared of us. I think they're scared of us. Yeah. I think they're scared of us. Or maybe they're scared of the word black whenever it comes before the word power, or whenever it comes before the word beauty, or whenever it comes before the words lives matter. Because they've never had a problem with the word power to exercise dominance over another, to render white supremacy woven through the fabric of this land. Power be a trip they never return from and wonder why we don't feel like we on vacation. And they never had a problem with the word beauty, long as lily white and fair skins remained part of our colonial mentality. Decided that beauty standards could only adhere to white, and finally, let's give them a little of what they want so they could feel good too. I mean, so they could shut up about not being included in the spectrum of beauty, but to love ourselves in the gloriousness of our blackness, let me tell you, is a radical act because they never thought it possible, but we made it so. And let me tell you how they never had a problem with the word life. Hell, it's in the Declaration of Independence. Seems to me life has always mattered in America, just not for everyone. They said we hold these truths to be self evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But what they really meant was we hold these truths to be self serving, that only some are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain dismissible rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Found those bootstraps they talk about so liberally. Don't even really know what a bootstrap looks like, but I know when I see hurdles in the road. I know what the word nigger from a twisted mouth sounds like against my ear. I know when I see a black body fall to the ground. I know they scared of what I'll do when I see it, when I taste the strength of my own power, or when I gaze on all that beauty in my ancestral bones, or when my lips fix to say I matter. I think they scared like when Haiti defeated France and slaveholders didn't want the news to reach their own slaves, lest they get inspired to coup d'etat and boulekai right here in these United States too. They've been scared of the power of our minds, been teaching revisionist history 101, then get mad when we learn the truth. Ask me how does one pave the ocean floor? And I will point you to the sunken monuments of the Atlantic. Ask me how this country was founded, and I will show you a black person's teeth in George Washington's mouth. I think they're scared of us learning the truth. I think they're scared of what we'll do with the truth, hold it against their artifacts and symbols until their comfort crumbles. Tell me, when a statue falls in the distance, will anyone hear it cry? Does it hold the same ache as a southern tree? That's the poem.
Woo! No, no. Listen, I'm just sitting back in awe right now because there was so much contact, and the way you ended, yo, what was that? What was the ending line? Tell me the sound of a statue when it
When,
crumbles.
when a statue falls in the distance, will anyone hear it cry? Does it hold the same ache as a southern tree?
Mm, that's. I just want folks to marinate on that really quick. The power of that last line. Um,
Yeah,
that's
because
really dope.
people are holding these statues and these symbols that really, represent racism and white supremacy, and they're just holding them up like, don't take them down. It's our heritage. And I'm like, do you know how many trees in the South, in the North, you know, all over this country held a
Yeah.
black body?
Well, the irony of it is what's going on right now. I mean,
Right,
they just tied a noose at the Capitol. Is that
right.
correct? And and,
Hmm.
and we're in 2021. You know, I, it was funny. I was in my car this morning going to the store, and then for a split moment, I got grateful for Donald Trump. Because for so long I've been hearing that argument. Racism doesn't exist. Racism doesn't exist. Not in America. That's back in the 50s, 20s, 1800s. That's from slavery. But you know what? All that stuff got brought to the forefront.
Mm,
And just like all the stuff in the past, somehow we're surviving it, you know? So we're here to make a better future now, you
yeah, we
know?
here. We here.
So your poem is just so relevant as racism has always been relevant in America. You know,
Mhm.
wow, and it's a touchy subject. You know, your poem brought me right to the whole controversy in the Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech. You know,
Mm,
because what a lot of people don't know is that speech was never titled. He didn't title it "I Have a Dream." The name of it was Normalcy Never Again. And he basically wrote that speech to call them out for everything that you said in your poem about, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and and equal rights and all that. But it's not just something we should be fighting for. It's actually in the Constitution. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the exact event, but there was an event that happened right before he wrote that speech that prompted it. And he was like, listen, man, I'm going to DC. I'm going to call them out on this stuff. And it was normalcy never again, because he said things after this outrage, things can't go back to normal. And that's what he was calling for. But what happened was Mahalia Jackson was in the crowd, and she was a good friend of his. And she was like, I guess based on probably a conversation they had or something, she was like, tell him about your dream, Martin. Tell him about your dream. And he just started freestyling because he's like a preacher. And he went into like, I have a dream that this, and that. I have a dream. And he went off script. So they named it, the I Have a Dream speech. But he was really calling for, a change. And I'm not gonna say, revolution. I don't know if they call that a revolution that just happened, but that's where your poem brought me. Right to that speech for those very specific reasons, and you spoke on them so eloquently.
Thank you. I don't know that story about Martin Luther King. So thank you for sharing that story. But I
Yeah,
mean, especially with MLK Day coming up, there's a lot of things that people gloss over when we talk about Martin Luther King, and um, a lot of the quotes come from that particular speech. But there's so many other things that he said, and so many other speeches that he gave that I really encourage people to read all his stuff, and to also understand that towards the end of his life, he was also speaking against the war and capitalism, um, and that's when he really became an enemy of the state, when he was dipping into that. So do your research, y'all. There's so
yeah,
much
yeah.
information on MLK.
It's right. Just like instead of the whole gloss over thing that they give us, don't let your school teach you about Martin Luther King. It's sad to say. I would like to say we need a movie about him. We need like a fresh, like, in, because he went to jail how many times? Like, it wasn't just the words in that speech, like you said. It was so many actions, so many. The way he had to live.
Mm-hmm.
So big up to him and big up to you because you brought me right there in that poem, and I appreciate that. Do you consider yourself like an artist activist or?
Oh yeah. I definitely. I call myself an artivist.
Ooh,
I really live by, like, well, Nina Simone said, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times, and that's something that really embodies my work. Um, and just like my identity coming into writing, is impossible for me to write about being a Black woman living in America without it being political. It's always going to be political, and I could be writing about joy as a little Black girl, and that's a political statement, because of the nature of what we live in. Um, me writing to make us visible, to tell our stories, to shine light on the injustices that are happening in our country and around the world, because racism is not just here in the United States. Racism is a global pandemic. And so the stuff that I write, is it's intertwined. There's no separation between the art and the activism.
mm, mm. Well put. Well put. So, you spoke um about being a Black woman, here in America, and I saw something recently on your page um about women. I think it might have been a Black woman about was it a theatrical production or something?
That's are you talking about Womanist?
Yes.
Okay, so Womanist is the art exhibit that I have coming up this weekend. Um, the show is called Womanist. It's a multimedia art experience. So there'll be paintings. There's I'm debuting a video for a poem. I'm debuting the video for I Think They Scared of Us, actually. Um, and um, so paintings, some mixed media pieces, and the video. Two videos. I have a video for my poem called For Every Black Woman Who's Been Called Angry, and that'll be playing at the exhibit as well.
Now, how does someone log in and tune into the exhibit? Is it virtual or do they have to be there in person?
Well, initially you have to be there in person, but we're going to make the virtual available for folks to, be able to see all the work and to also see the videos.
Nice, nice, nice. And okay, so that's what you got. You said this week.
This
So you're
weekend,
busy. This
I am.
weekend. Wow. You are busy. What else have you been up to? Have you been doing any teaching or?
I've been doing some one-on-one sessions. I have clients, so people can book me one-on-one if you have poems, or if you have a manuscript you want feedback on, or if you need like a boost, you're going through like a dry spell with writing and you need some writing prompts and you need someone to kind of like get the ball rolling. I meet with people one-on-one. Is hour sessions. So I've been doing that, and I've been visiting some classrooms virtually. So I haven't stopped working. It's just the work it looks different, Like I used to go in person, to campus or someplace to do my work, and now I just like what we're doing right now, Like I
Yeah.
got my phone propped up, a little stand, and that's
That's
how the work
right.
is done.
That's right. We adjust. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, but I'm also thinking about what you said about Nina Simone, saying that an artist's job is to reflect the times. And I just, that's something I believe. Like I consider myself a poet. Well, you know what I mean. I should be relevant. I should reflect the times for a multitude of reasons. And I think that was very well summed up. And when they remember your work, you know what I mean? They're also going to be able to remember the time and
Mhm,
learn about the time through your work. So,
mhm.
so that really touched me. And I'm thinking about you as an artist, and and we touched on this a little bit, but coming from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and going to graduate school, via New Haven, and going to graduate school upstate New York.
Mhm.
How were you able to find your roots? Were you doing art, poetry, and everything before you went up there?
Yeah. I've been writing poems since I was 11 years old. Um, I've been painting, drawing something since I could hold a crayon. Like I don't have an age for that. Um, but yeah, I've been drawing my whole life. And I've been writing poems since sixth grade. And when I went to college at Southern in New Haven, I majored in English with a concentration in creative writing. So, particularly poetry. So that's been like, you know, I always wanted to be a writer. I had a roundabout way of getting there, but um, writing has been a major part of my life for a very, very long time. And then as far as like, I think, on Southern's campus, that was my first experience of sharing my poems outside of family, outside of church. Being, in poetry slams, that was my first time ever experiencing that was when I was at Southern. And when I came up to Albany, that was when I think I really grew up as an artist,
Mm.
in the sense of like, yo, I could do this full time. I should chase that dream. And so that started while I was up here. Um, and I've been really blessed in this area in the capital region. Like I've been able to really grow my network and grow a foundation. Um, to stand on, and it's beautiful. People are amazing in how they support and how they attend poetry open mic that I host. Is so I've gotten a lot of love and appreciation in the capital region, and that's helped me to kind of like branch out and travel and go other places and perform. But really just like growing up as an artist in the capital region has been like instrumental in everything that I do outside of this area.
Yes, yes. So I'd like to know more about that decision you made to pursue this full time. Like, what did that actually take? For you to do that, and how did that decision come about? I know that's a
Um,
tough one.
well, it I so let me think about this for a second. So like I taught high school, I taught middle school, I worked for a nonprofit for years. Um and I think a lot of that and I was doing poetry that whole time, like it came to a point where I was taking off time from work in order to like travel and go perform somewhere. Like I would get booked someplace out of state and I'd have to go and I'd have to take time off from work and I'd use up all my sick days and all the days that they give you at a job, right? I'll just use it all up. And a lot of times, I think the last year that I finally made a decision, I got booked to do a week-long residency in Vermont, and I had to teach 3 workshops and perform twice and do like a Q&A over the course of a week. And they paid for my hotel, they paid for all my meals, they gave me spending money, and they compensated me for my time. So I went
Right.
home with a check.
Yes.
And I made more that week for like, I felt like it was light work because this is just like what I love to do, right? I'm just sharing what I'm passionate about. So it doesn't even feel like work. And I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. Like if I get gigs like this,
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I think I could do this. And I think the real revelation for me though was now that I'm thinking back to it is I went back to work and I remember students asking me how it went because they knew like what I was going for, and they had also seen me perform as a teacher. And I was telling them like, yeah, this is what happened, and they paid you for that. Yeah, they paid them. So what are you doing here? And I don't know, kids have a way of like seeing things that you don't see. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, that's you should be doing that. Like,
You gotta love the kids, right?
yeah. They will tell you straight up. Like, I think you should be. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Like it just added right up to them.
Yeah.
They cut right through the mess of it.
Mhm.
And what are you doing still here? Like I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are great, man. I think there's a phenomenal story, and the reason I asked you all that was just for because there's lots of people that want to make that transition. You know what I mean? There's
Mhm.
lots of people that everyone has a dream of becoming an artist in some type of shape, form, or fashion. And but for you, it seems like you were already pursuing your passions, and what
Right.
happened was it grew to the point where it was like, okay, as the kids put it, why are you not doing that?
Right.
So
What I
it,
will say is, I did have a revelation one year. Like I was, I had always said, I want to write, I want to publish, I want to do all these things, right? But I really wasn't working towards it. And I had posted something on Facebook asking a rhetorical question, but a question nonetheless, what would happen if you did one productive thing towards your dream every single day? Just one. It don't have to be a whole long list of things, that you got to cross out. Just, set an intention for one thing that you want to do that's in service of your dream, right?
Yes.
And so I posted that on Facebook, and I was like, well, why are you posting this? You ain't doing that. Like, and like the voice in your head, like, it's like, what you doing? Like, you telling other people this? Like, why are you asking people this question? Are you asking the question to yourself? So I was like, yo, I think I'm gonna try this. And so I set an intention every single day. You're gonna do one thing before the day is done. You do one thing that's in service to your dream, whether that's write a poem or start a painting or follow up with this person who wants to book you for a gig or whatever the thing is, right? But it has to be something that's in service of the dream, right? And I've been doing that for years. The last year was the first year that I kind of fell off, but COVID was just, there was a lot of
Mm,
things.
okay.
But
Okay.
I was doing that like 5 year, at least 5 years strong, consistently doing at least one thing every single day. And it just started, the list just grew naturally, where I was like, okay, I got to work on a website and I got to work on this. And so if I had time, I'd add two or three more things, and it wasn't like, let me make a list. It was like, let me set an intention, right?
Mm,
Here's the big dream and here's the intention. And when you approach it that way, I feel like the dream starts to, like, come closer to you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, I don't know how far away it is, but I'm gonna do this thing today. And I'm gonna go sleep happy because, yo, I did one thing. I feel good about
yes.
myself because I did at least one thing, right? Um,
Yes.
and that helped me out a lot. I did more in the last 6 years towards my dreams because of that than I did in the 10 years prior, for sure.
Nice, nice. I really love that. I used to do like this particular work, like self kind of help work, right? And we have to answer these questions. And the guy I was working with was always telling me, just try to do one question a day. And what I found out happening was, right, I go to do that one, but I'd actually do two or three.
Mhm,
You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Because sometimes it'll have that snowball effect, where, and another thing, so I've suffered from depression before.
mhm.
And I came up, as I was coming out of a cycle of depression, this little thing. And it says, hey, you got depression? Why don't you do something about it?
Mm.
And it might sound a little harsh to someone that has depression, but it's like I had to counter activate. You know what I mean? The not wanting to get out of bed or the wanting to not do nothing. I had to counter that. And I found that the more productive I was, the more happy I was. And I found that very interesting. So it's like, hey, it sounds, funny or a little cliche, but do something about it.
I
Do
mean,
one thing.
it's work. It's work, you know? It's work,
Yeah.
working on yourself, working on your dream, whatever the thing is that you gotta work on, it's work. You gotta put in work.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line. And you said the word intention. And I
Mhm.
really love that word. It was as I started getting around some really good circles that I started hearing that word more. And I just like to ask you real quick, define intention for me.
Um, hmm. So I might not give you a dictionary definition. For me, the intention is, the energy that I'm putting towards my day. Um, and so if I set an intention that I'm gonna do one thing, right, in service of my dream, just like what I was just talking about,
Yeah.
um, the energy in my day is like, let's go, we got this, we getting something. Um, and so that's where that really comes from. And yeah, it's really the energy that I'm setting for myself, for my spirit, and for my mindset for the day. And whatever the thing is that I choose, is the thing that I choose. It's not really about the task. It's about the energy behind the task for me. So
Yes. Well put. And I just asked you to elaborate on it because it's really powerful stuff that we're talking about right now.
mhm,
This is
mhm,
really powerful stuff. I mean, you said that in the last 6 years, setting that attention, you know what I mean, really helped you prepare your whole career, your whole life, that you
yeah,
build around and who you are. So I just was relating to that. And I just think it's important for people to know how important it is to set intentions, and to follow through on some things. And even when you don't feel like it, do something, you know?
mhm.
Um, so I was wondering if we might be able to get a chance to look at some of your artwork.
Okay. Um,
Oh.
so I'm gonna move. Oh, let's move this way.
So you
Let me
got art
just.
all around you.
I do. Because I have a show coming up, so there's art everywhere right now. But let me just get
Dope,
up.
dope.
There's this piece. It's a little in progress. Um, and then there is this piece that's in progress.
Oh.
That person looks familiar to you.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
That's a self portrait I'm working on. Um, and then let me just show you this one.
Oh
Here, I
wow.
don't know if you can see that.
I definitely get a good look at it. I see it
Yeah,
very clear.
yeah. So
Wow.
that's a
I can look
few
into her eyes.
of my so a few of my pieces that will be in the show. And I have, you know, have some other ones that I finished, but they're kind of big. so
Okay.
so we're not gonna move them.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
So, and the show is called Womanist.
Yeah, the show is called Womanist.
And what's the science behind the title?
So womanist is a term that was coined by Alice Walker. Um, for people who don't know who Alice Walker is, she wrote The Color Purple, the book, which was adapted to film. So people might have, I don't know, maybe people have read the book and the film, hopefully. But I know a lot of people watch the film and don't experience the book sometimes. But Alice Walker is the mind behind The Color Purple. And she coined the word womanist. And to quote Alice Walker, she said, um, feminist is to womanist as purple is to lavender. And so it's a
Oh,
commentary on, how feminism um didn't really acknowledge the intersection between blackness and womanhood. And for a very long time, for the life of white feminism in this country, it has often excluded Black women, and not really, understanding the intersection of oppression that Black women experience. So, and it goes way, way, way back. Like I could talk about Sojourner Truth, right? And Sojourner Truth, when she was fighting for rights, human rights, she was fighting for the abolition of slavery. She was also fighting for the right for Black people to vote. But she was also fighting for the right for women to vote at the same time, and so there was this intersection, and she was the person who was, talking to the white feminists of the time about the right to vote, but also talking to the Black men of the time, like Frederick Douglass, about, Black women also getting the right to vote. So um womanist is really a term that represents Black feminism, and bringing to light this idea that we are all these things, right? And we deserve to be able to just tell our story and to have the same rights as everybody else.
mm, mm. Definitely, definitely, and I definitely. So, I, I is that is this a show you developed yourself, or what's your actual role in it?
I'm an artist, also a curator. I'm collaborating with another artist curator named Keon Hennessy. And so, well, the two of us, we met in a class that we took at the Art Center of the Capital Region here in Troy. It was called the Business of Art. And we met in that class, and we had to one of our assignments was to create a contract. And we just decided we were the only two Black women in the class. We were two or three black people in the class. And so actually we're two of three people of color, period, in the
Wow.
class. And so when we partnered up to do the assignment, we had a serious conversation about like, yo, this is not an assignment. Like, we're gonna really do this. We're gonna really do a show, and we're gonna create this contract based off of a show that we'd like to create. You know, we want to exhibit work together,
Woo!
and we want it to be like a manifesto of art, you know, that really celebrates Black women and also just says all the things that we're feeling right now, right? Like, we feel joy and we feel angry, and we feel hope, and we feel sad sometimes, and we feel vulnerable, and and it's okay for us to feel all of those things, and sometimes we feel strong, but we're not a monolith, right? And so we wanted to create something beautiful to represent all of those things.
Mm, mm. And I think that's so important. Just even being able to pay attention to how we feel. And right now, especially like with Black people, like how do we actually feel? Like I hear so much being reported, or they'll say something like on the surface, with everything that's going on. I'm speaking specifically
Yeah.
to everything that's going on right now. Um, they all those gloss over statements, as you call it. Um, yeah, it's real easy to say if the protesters would have been Black, they would have been shot. Okay, but how do we
That is like
feel?
that.
Right. But how do we feel? What's going on with us as a people? Because we're moving, and we're getting stronger. And I feel, not to harp on that statement you said, but as a poet, it is my job to reflect the time. I feel bad myself a little bit right now. I'm just getting a little personal because you said something about, if you have a writer's block. I'm having writer's block right now. I'm just gonna be honest, and maybe I'm just in shock by everything that's going on, or maybe something is coming, But I'm having writer's block right now, and I really want to get over it. So I'm gonna
Well,
take your advice.
so there's something that like I live by, is that writer's block doesn't exist. And I really live by that. So I don't even say writer's block. That's why
Okay.
I was like somebody who needs a boost, like I was like, I'm not saying writer's block.
Yeah.
And here's the reason though, is because and I'm gonna butcher this quote because I can't remember who's the poet who said it. But there's a quote that says poetry is everywhere, it just needs editing. And so for me, I just think of it as there's material always available, right? There's always
Definitely.
material available. And I don't ever expect me to sit down and write a poem in one sitting. Sometimes I write lines and then I come back to it and add more. Sometimes it's a stanza and then I come back to it, add more. Sometimes it's the whole piece. And then I come back and I revise it. I tweak some things, I change some lines, I move stuff around and figure out how I really want this. What is the poem really saying, right? And where do I want it to go? So the material is all over the place. Sometimes
I'm
it's
cured.
inside,
I'm
sometimes
cured.
it's everywhere. It's on the bus, it's everywhere. That
No,
material is all over the place. It's
no,
just a matter of like, what is your eye seeing, and what story is what story is being pulled towards you, and how can you tell that story, right? Just saying.
Wow.
It's everywhere.
Very well put. Very, very well put. And I like the ending of that it just needs editing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we could always go back. I used to like Bob and them used to tease me all the time because like I'd do the same poem over and over again every year, but it'd
Mm-hmm.
be different. Like every year it would change, and I did that with multiple poems. But I used to just be like, you know what? We'll be on the way like out of state to a venue somewhere or something, and be like, you know what? I'm gonna change this poem, and I start changing it in the car. And by the time we get there, and they're like, "What are you doing? I love that poem." But I'm like, yo, it's what spoke to me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you dropping real jewels, by the way, sister. Like I love this. You dropping real jewels, and a lot of that was very well put, so that the audience can catch them. Because I speak about my problems, but I'm speaking about just everybody. We all go through stuff. So I'm in covertly in disguise, acting like I'm getting the help from you, but it's really for everybody. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got about 14 minutes left.
Okay.
And I'd like to hear another piece from you if we can before we, check out and vibe off.
Okay. Okay. So I mentioned this poem. I haven't done it in a while, so let's see if I make it through the whole thing. I should, because it's like drinking water, so I should be fine. But this is the poem I mentioned earlier for every Black woman who's been called angry. I've been trying not to be an angry Black woman. Make sure I smile a little in public. Seems like the understanding is that our facial expressions do not lend to other emotions, that the fears we stay ready to start a commotion just because. Like, there are no reasons to be Black, a woman, and angry at the same time. So don't you know on most days I turn my smile into a protest, but the rest is a crooked upwards battle. I've been trying to rise like Maya's dust every time there's some bitter, twisted lies. Been trying to be Black girl magic without a spell to conjure over this hurt, this pain, this rolled up thunder pressed between my ears. I've been trying to sew invisibility cloaks to drape around my children for protection, only to find out they invisible already without protection. Been trying to tell my daughters to not be angry, that sass might get you sassed, that kissing the pavement ain't better than going home. They will say you have too much attitude. Refuse to see your smile pressing through from behind your teeth, the world on your shoulders like the mule you are. They will wonder how you made it anyhow, how somehow they haven't killed you yet, being angry and all. But ain't that the point? That Harriet Tubman had to be an angry Black woman? That Sojourner Truth had to be an angry Black woman? That Assata Shakur had to be an angry Black woman? That Rosa Parks had to be an angry Black woman? That Shirley Chisholm had to be an angry Black woman? That Ada B. Wells had to be an angry Black woman? That Coretta Scott King had to be an angry Black woman? That Betty Shabazz had to be an angry Black woman? And ain't that the point? That I have every right to be angry? Angry about our trees cut down and the roots left there naked in the sun, about history being his story one too many times, about the corrections to my language when my tongue was already cut out, about justification, about discrimination, about appropriation of my culture, about being called everything but my name, mammy, Jezebel, ratchet, bitch, about the prison industrial complex, about bullets spraying like a carnival game on victims with no weapons, about being called everything but my name, mammy, Jezebel, ratchet, bitch, about the prison industrial complex, about this reflection someone put in the mirror that ain't my own. I have every right to break the glasses. Anger ain't yours to police, ain't yours to cage up like a bird, ain't yours, is the point. I've been trying not to be an angry Black woman. Truth is, I ain't trying no more. And you're gonna be glad one day I said, you're going to be glad one day I was angry enough to change the world.
Mm. Love it. Love it. Wow. Wow. I just hope that like a million people was watching that just now. You know, wow, you caught me when you said, you know, you smile into a protest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, wow, Ty Allen is watching. He also commented, he said the gem, the star and the gem. You
Thank
know,
you, Ty.
yeah, yeah. Contest is out there. We got a bunch of people watching, and it's just really beautiful, man. Um, you said the work pressing through your shoulder like the mule you are. Could you
Mm-hmm.
elaborate on that line for me?
Um, Zora Neale Hurston had a line talking about the Black woman as the mule of the world. Um, just the work. I mean, really think about it, right? All the work that Black women have done, like since the history of Black women. But if you want to talk about like in the context of enslavement in this country and the work, backbreaking work in the field, whether it was work in the house, whether it was birthing babies for massa, you know,
Mm,
whether it was massa's babies or the Black men he forced you to sleep with, for all the children that were stolen away from Black women, for all the Black women who had to find ways to not have their child because they'd rather not have their child than have their child live in this hell called slavery. Um,
Jesus.
and that's just that period of time. I'm not even talking about Reconstruction, Jim Crow, Civil Rights movement. I'm not even there yet. I'm just in this time period of slavery, right? And so the work on our backs, it's like it's profound, and yeah, that's what I mean by the mule of the world.
Yeah, yeah, deep, deep, deep. You had me right there at that scene. We were already talking about Color Purple, so that wasn't that like the opening scene when
Yeah,
like she was birthing, like oh my God, you just had me right there.
yep,
You know,
yep. That
I
symbol is
should
there.
definitely a movie worth watching again. I haven't watched it in years. But maybe I'll check that out again. I also like what you said about when you paid homage and visited to um oh God, my mind. To Betty Shabazz and to Coretta Scott King in your
Mhm.
poem because like that's a labor too. Like sometimes I just imagine what it took to be the backbone of such powerful men, such such busy men that were constantly like do you know actually what it is to have a mission and to live that mission? I've done it before. And it takes everything to have that backbone woman. And then not only just a mission, but your life is on the line because of that mission.
Yeah.
To have that woman that's there for you as a rock, planning. Like, we don't know how deep, but I'm what I'm getting at is I believe there would be no uh, Martin Luther King without Coretta Scott King.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if
That's,
you
that's
if
what I'm
you're
getting at.
thinking about like the work of Black women during the civil rights movement, um, by far they don't get enough credit for the work. Um, the belly of the work, all of that work that we don't see or we don't read about. Um, yeah, Black women are all in there. And I wanted to include Black women in this particular poem because, so often we're told, like we're fighting against this stereotype of the angry Black woman, right? And I just think that's silly, like nobody can sit here and tell me that Coretta Scott King was never angry. It sounds silly, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's just
it's not even realistic, right?
It's not. Somebody gonna sit here and tell me Asada Shakur was never angry. Really? Harriet Tubman was never angry. We over here trying to fight a stereotype of being the
Right,
angry Black woman. We have rights to our own anger too,
right.
and we can use that anger in service to our people, in service to our freedom, in service to our rights. We have every right to also be angry. Like, what we going through? Like, what? I'm not supposed to be angry in this work meeting that where you're like, exercising all this power over me, and there's microaggressions being thrown left and right. I'm supposed to sit here and smile and not
Mm,
be angry. That doesn't make sense to me. So
mm,
we're not doing that.
mm.
We're not doing that anymore.
That's right. So that's how you ended the poem. You like, I'm no longer trying
Nope.
to 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 hide, to hide that. How did you put it? Could you just repeat that last line for me
I'll
again?
be angry enough to change the world.
That's
I ain't trying no more. You're gonna be glad one day. You're gonna be
right.
glad one day I was angry enough to change the world.
That's right. Get angry, Danielle. Get angry. And you know what? I think you make an excellent point. A lot of the anger is what the hell? We supposed to be happy? You
Yeah.
know?
Or
Um,
complacent,
are we supposed to be happy that the way to make it in this world is through education, but only some people can afford it? You
mhm,
know? We
mhm.
supposed to stay like this? But it's trying times. It's an excellent time to come forth. And so on your website, that's dcollin.com, for those that
Yeah.
want to visit the website. On your website it says, what does it say? It says be inspired, then
Yeah.
inspired. Is
Mhm.
that's and so I've been putting that on your flyer all week. I was like, be inspired, be inspired, you know, and you've truly been an inspiration. You've inspired
Thank
me.
you.
And I mean, me personally, just now, and I'm going to write some new stuff. I'm going to
Good.
write some new stuff. Yes, yes.
That's why that's my tagline. Because inspiration is all over the place, right? And then when we get inspired, it should be contagious. You know what I'm saying? Like you get inspired and then you inspire somebody else and you pass that on. And then you can replace that with any word, really, you know,
Yeah,
love, hope, you
yeah,
know, all the things, right? Kindness, you know, um, just making it contagious, can pass it on to other people.
yes. And then it's like, who am I to talk? I got this poem called Art Everywhere, and and one of the lines,
Oh,
yeah, and one of the lines is, I see art under my eyelids because my third eye don't close.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
Mhm.
just a little slacking on my macking. But I needed to hear every word that you said. So I might have fronted like I was asking for the audience, but yes, I was asking for me
I
as well.
feel you. I feel you. I do
Yeah.
that too when I ask people questions. Like if I gotta facilitate a conversation, I'm asking the questions out stuff I want to know, and hopefully
That
everybody else get help from it too.
exactly, and that's just being real, and that's all we can be. Listen, we got a minute left. Yo,
Mhm.
I'm so excited to have had you today. Like, it was really a wonderful experience. Is there anything you just want to let the people know? Anything you want to close with? Anything that we haven't covered that you would like to say?
Um, I don't know. It really jumped in my spirit. Like, if you're not okay, it's okay to not be okay because there's a lot going on. But you are not by yourself. And just hold on to the fact that you are not alone. We all in this. And it's hard, but it ain't impossible. So just keep going. So that's my message to go away with. As far as like if you want to follow me and stuff like that, my handles are poet D Collin on Twitter and on Instagram. And you can go to my website actually, and all my stuff is on my website. So just go to dcollin.com.
Yo, I love it. I love you. And I love everybody. And D, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's truly been a pleasure. Your
Thank
energy has been
you.
radiant, artistic, and activating. What's that
Thank
one word you
you.
said?
Oh,
How did you combine the arts and activism again?
artivism.
Artivism.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So you've heard artivism here from D. Collins. Everyone, we just want to thank you for another wonderful week of poems and passion. We definitely heard poems and we definitely heard passion from D. Collins. So with that, we are going to close and, like we always do, saying peace, love, and blessings, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Peace. Look, man, like I'm frozen.
I know. I'm like, okay, are we still here?
Yeah, but no, we're still here. But we're gonna close out and we're gonna log off and peace, everyone. I think if you just click on remove on your, do you see a face down below?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh,
wait, I think I did it. Oh,
cool.
okay, so I figured out how to do it. So we just want to close out in good fashion again. Peace and love from Jason and D
Deep
Collins.
Colin.
Peace.